There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
What's up to this special edition of the Program Guys podcast? I'm Patrick Hertzberger. Joined with me today is Mark Hall, and there has been some updates about Oklahoma football with the coaches luncheon today. Seth Littrell and Zac Alley stating that Seth will be in Jackson Arnold's helmet while Zac Alley will be in Danny Stutsman's helmet. Mark, what are your initial reactions to that?
Yeah, I mean, they're both sort of what we expected, but it's cool to get the confirmation when you get this new technology that they've never had before. Who is going to be the guy, right? Maybe it's a quarterback's coach. Maybe it's a linebacker's. It could have been anyone, right? And so to get that little piece of it, Seth Littrell feels obvious, yeah. Right? It really does. Zac Alley is sort of interesting, and another thing that they hit on today was, we know that Seth is calling the plays, right? And I encourage everyone to go look at his UNT offenses and the spring game. And there's this really good write-up by a Georgia Tech writer back when they had a coaching search and they were looking at Seth Littrell. I read it when we hired him. I don't know the name of it, but it was really good. Yeah. And it's about the way he runs an offense. And so you know that he's going to be in Jackson's ear. On the defensive side of things, there's a quote out there where it's like, I think it's Brent saying, it's going to be a bit of Coach V, a bit of Zac Alley. What does that mean for, other coaches? I want them to worry about both of us. And I think it's going to be Zac Alley. But it's cool that they're keeping it a mystery.
Yeah, there has to be a streamlined process of who's actually in the person's ear. I guess we don't really need to know that on a game by game or even a half by half perspective. Or, we don't need to know, but it'll be interesting to see, especially if they're tag teaming that. I imagine Zac Alley, like you mentioned, would take the majority of that, even if Brent is in Zac's ear before that.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to see is Brent take a step back from defense, take that same kind of step with offense where he's in both coaches' ears now. And they're just talking throughout the game, and he is managing the game on his terms while the people underneath him are calling plays. That's what Nick Saban did. That's what Jim Harbaugh does. Some of the best CEO style coaches you've seen handle their business this way.
Yeah, and there have been some growing pains with Brent Venables becoming a head coach. You saw it in his first year, saw a little bit in his second year too. Hopefully this actually helps with some of the struggles he was facing in his first and second year as a head coach, coordinating with his coordinators.
Especially Zac Alley. Zac Alley said something today about how it feels like home because he's back with his mentor, the guy he learned everything from. And it's just like Brent is like a pseudo dad to him, and you can tell he just loves being here. And I think that we're going to see what his feel for that sort of defense is, because it's not going to be exactly Brent's, but you can expect a lot of the same ideas, the same concepts, just deployed a little bit differently.
Yeah, definitely.
It's seamless. He comes in, and even the position coaches don't mind working underneath like a 30-year-old man.
That is the most wild thing, honestly, that we brought in someone so young and everyone just respected it. It was like, okay, no worries.
Name an industry where that's going to fly.
Right. No idea. But yeah, back to Seth Littrell. I'm really excited to see what he's going to cook up with Jackson Arnold. I hope that earpiece helps, especially with Jackson being a younger quarterback, especially going to LSU at the end of the season. I think, if he's going to be able to hear Seth at LSU or not, but it'll be a good thing just for Jackson, I think, in general, and younger quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's going to be very helpful for them. The same way that offenses are sort of designed to give quarterbacks the easy way out now. Hey, here's your read or take off this way. That was the Jalen Hurts offense in 2019 to a T, right? As offenses have gotten this way, it seems like there's been a push to make it as easy as possible on all the players to just go out and play ball, which I can understand. And it's definitely going to help a team like ours to be able to just be in there, because you get 15 seconds or so, something like that. A play call doesn't always take 15 seconds. So you're also in his ear to say, hey, corner on the strong side is peaking a little bit more than he should. hit the double move. It's going to be open, hit the double move. Switch to your first read on that, right? That's an interesting wrinkle that you used to not be able to communicate.
Yeah. Yeah. Really cool stuff. Want to get your thoughts on another quote that Brent Venables said today about the special teams, saying our production has not been anywhere remotely close to what it needs to be, far below our standards. We've put a lot of focus in it this year. Also saying that Tyler Keltner is the odds-on favorite to win the kicking job. Your thoughts on that?
I love it because it's right. We've called on this before. Aside from the Peyton Bowen blocked punts last season, special teams sort of let us down, and they did the season before that as well. And we brought in the San Diego State special teams coordinator to take over. His name escapes me right now, but you can tell that this is a place Brent really prioritizes. It's not just the third part of the game. It is the third part of the game. And improving the play from the kicker and punter positions especially is going to be big time this season. We're going into much more hostile environments. We're going to have much tougher defenses playing against us. We have to be able to rely on the place kicker to make plays and the punter to put us in advantageous situations on defense. And I want to point out a comparison to you, actually, Patrick. Contrast that answer with every "we're close" answer you ever heard from Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
And I think you just get at the difference between the two men as coaches. He's over here making a fool of himself in Big Ten media days, complaining about the lack of facilities, the lack of NIL. Meanwhile, Brent is just full speed ahead. Hey, we got to get better. We're working on football. I'm looking at the field.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful.
Couldn't agree more. Very fortunate to have Brent Venables versus Lincoln Riley. Doug Deacon was the San Diego State special teams coordinator that we brought over, but agree with you that we lost way too many games the last 2 years off of not having a productive special teams. It's going to be crucial, especially headed in the SEC. It would really be also a glimmer on the coaching staff if they don't get this right after 3 years, because they've known it's been an issue. So I would really hope that they've got it right. I mean, we've used the portal in that space as well, so it needs to be something that's better.
Well, consider, all right, we expect the defense to be very good, right? Yeah. Some predicted to be the best defense in the SEC. I don't know the other teams well enough yet to get into that, but now consider how good you think the offense is going to be.
Yeah.
How good Jackson Arnold is going to be. Deion Burks, Gavin Sawchuk in year 2 as the starter. All of these things, right? And if we have a terrible special teams, if we have a place kicker we can't trust once again, a punter who, 30 yards and that's all you can trust, or it's a wonky punt and it goes out of bounds before it should, you can't imagine losing games based on those things when you've got the pieces you think you need to have.
Yeah, would be absolutely brutal. Hopefully it's something that we don't have to worry about. We see early on that the kicking is going to be good for the season. But again, in those SEC environments, it's a totally different game too.
Yeah. This Keltner guy, though, that seems like good news because he's the unknown. We know the known. We know Zac. We know the known. And I'm good. Let's see what Keltner has.
Agreed. Anything else about today's Oklahoma football news and coaches luncheon you would want to talk about?
No, I don't think so, but I would encourage everyone to go look up the way that Seth Littrell runs an offense, because I know we watched the spring game, but spring games are spring games. They want to see certain things. Mason Fine, I looked it up, his quarterback finished his career the all-time passer in they're all UNT things. 2019 finalist for the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. Just a lot of good play out of him. He set tons of records for UNT at UNT, and he's throwing up per season passing yardage numbers that are hard to reach. Jackson Arnold's better than that, and we have better players because we're Oklahoma. So I feel very optimistic about the offense this season. Offensive line pending.
Offensive line pending. I completely agree with that. Remember to follow us on all of our social media sites. That is TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And follow us and subscribe to all of the podcast platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, all of those good things. Thanks for listening today. Mark, take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.
3, 2, 1.
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.